Hi, this is Mr. Cordes, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about and discuss the transformation elements for a hero. We've done some preliminary work on what is a hero and the different types of heroes. We are studying the hero and the hero's journey because it is a part of storytelling and literature. And so there's different stages and steps that we need to understand as we progress forward. So I love these assignments simply because we get to kind of use our imagination and we get to pull in media that is familiar to us. So movies and television shows and books and stories that are dear to our hearts because they embody the heroic elements. They embody this journey that the hero goes on, this quest. And so what we're looking at is kind of analyzing what is that quest? What are those components and how does that fit into the storytelling realm? For us today, what we're going to look at before we actually start in on the hero's journey, we're going to look at what I call transformation elements. Transformation elements are kind of characteristics, qualities, things that happen to a hero prior to them going into a journey, prior to them going on a quest. Some of these evolve during the quest. Some of them come out prior. Some of them are just part of the character's personality. But what you see here is certain characteristics that play into the hero. So you have a couple handouts in front of you. You've got this document right here, which talks about the transformation elements. And then you also have this right here, which is an article written in 2003. And I found this article because I was and is a very big Superman fan. Grew up loving Superman. He's one of my favorite heroes. And when the television show Smallville came out in the early 2000s, I was studying mythology for grad school and I began to piece things together. And it was really cool to see kind of the bridge between what I was studying in grad school and my favorite television show. And so it was just really interesting because there was overlap. There was a lot of connecting pieces. So Smallville and the transformation of the hero through the Superman mythology. One of the things, I'm going to read bits and pieces of this to you, but you'll need to read the entire article. Okay. If you look at the assignment description, right here, let me kind of go through this and then I'll explain each of those elements. The first part, it says, watch the lecture video, which you are doing now. Read and take notes on the journal article. That's this transformation article that I just showed you. And you're going to be able to identify the transformation elements. There are 5 altogether. You have unusual birth, royal and foster birth parents, abilities beyond normality, isolation, and call to destiny. Now, you as the scholar, you as the student, you get to decipher what is what and how it plays into your story. We're going to be developing this more as you have your own hero projects. But right now, we're going to kind of begin to practice with looking at the transformation elements. Okay. So the transformation elements, one of those things is there's 5 characteristics, and these are the 5. Okay. An unusual birth, which is like an introduction to the story. Okay. How is your character introduced? Because usually it's in some sort of abnormal way or something catastrophic or something huge. You have biological family and foster family. So there's kind of a separation with your characters and who they are related to. You also have abilities beyond normality. They've got superpowers, they've got intelligence, they've got magic. Something is beyond normality for them. There's this concept of isolation from society, so they feel alone. They feel different. They feel separated. And then you have a call to destiny, or sometimes it's called the call to adventure, in which they kind of say, oh, there's this quest that you're about to go on and you're able to go. Okay. So these 5 components are what we're going to pull apart today, and each one of them is going to be explained. Okay. So looking here, this introduction goes through the Superman story and kind of how it came to be, and developing the Superman myth as a whole. Okay, this was back in 2003, so it is quite dated. However, the story concepts are the same. So let's look at this paragraph right here. It says the heroic pattern that precedes the heroic pattern that produces a hero figure consists of birth, development, and transformation of the young individual. The aspects that are featured during this time range in variety across cultures, yet there are common signifiers that are universally found. These aspects are not limited to the following list: an unusual birth, royal birth parents and foster parents, has abilities beyond normality, isolation from normal society, and a calling or destiny that is presented before him. Okay, Smallville presents viewers with these elements that make up the framework of true hero mythology. The Smallville show, the WB show, you guys might be familiar with things like The Flash, Supergirl. There's like Legends of Tomorrow. There's a whole bunch of television shows, dramas that deal with superheroes. Okay. And it was because of the popularity of Smallville and like Green Arrow. And then when the Avengers franchise hit and Iron Man came out in the early 2000s, it just snowballed and everyone began to jump on this bandwagon. So looking here, we're going to kind of pull apart this stuff for Smallville. And I've added some clips. I can't show them or play them through this presentation, but you can stop. I gave you one that talks about Kal-El's Superman's introduction. Okay. He is presented to us in a story coming from a different planet. He comes down in a meteor shower. He disrupts everything. Anytime that there is a hero that enters into the story, there is something unusual about it. And that is one of our very first thing, is an unusual birth. So it's not necessarily like an actual birth, like the mom giving birth. However, it is the way that the character is introduced to the story. So you might think back to Batman. If you're familiar with Batman, Batman has this very sad, tragic story where his parents are murdered. Sometimes by the Joker, sometimes not. And that's kind of the tipping point for how he's introduced to the story. Okay. If you've seen the Star Trek reboots, Captain Kirk, who is the main character of those Star Trek movies, he is introduced as his ship is being attacked. His mother has to get away. She gives birth in the escape pod. Like it is out of control. So usually there is some sort of different way that the character is being introduced. So in our story here, Superman is coming to Earth in a meteor shower. He disrupts the town, and that's the way that we're introduced to him. So as you watch through this video, you'll see Jonathan and Martha Kent. Those are his foster parents. Find him and take him and adopt him. And that's how he's introduced. That's our very first component right here. That's how he's introduced. Okay. The second thing are biological family versus foster family. So if I go over here to my article, this first paragraph right here talks about his arrival on Earth. The second part, it says Kal-El's family consists of 2 sets of parents, one biological family and one foster family. Commonly for the hero, the incidents that separate the child from the biological parents are related to jealousy or fear. And then there's some examples here from Greek mythology. Kal-El is sent to Earth in order to save his race, and because his planet is being destroyed, and so he's sent away by his biological parents, and his biological parents are very they're like part of government. They're very intellectual. They're deemed as royalty almost. Most heroes have some sort of biological parent that is some sort of royalty. Okay, if you look at Iron Man and Tony Stark, his father was a genius and was a precedent in the company and his business and technology and all of those things for the time in which he lived. Thor, his father is the king of Asgard. Like there are anytime that there is some sort of royal family, anytime there's a hero, there's some sort of royal family. And so, which means that they embody this royalness, almost like a prince type figure. And yet, what you see here is as another part of the apparent aspect is the hero's journey. Even though they have royal or high type of stature, foster parents are rural, small town country folks. These are the ones that raise the child in a very humble, like down-to-earth setting. So you have Martha and Jonathan Kent, who are just basic farmers who teach Clark Kent, Superman, how to be humble, how to be kind, how to do what's right. Just like Hercules. Hercules is the son of Zeus, and yet he was raised by two peasants. And they teach him about what it means to love other people and to do what's right and to do what's good. So it's this not internal conflict, but this internal duality of like a royal superhero versus being raised by someone of a lower stature. So even if you look at Batman, his parents are super rich, super wealthy, considered royalty in the town of Gotham, yet he's raised by the butler. He's raised by someone else. And so you get that dichotomy of, Bruce Wayne should be a snob and a spoiled little brat. However, he's raised by the butler who teaches him to work hard and to think things through and to process stuff. So there's this concept of both of them. So if you look here, this begins to talk about how the Kents teach their child how to live a humble and honorable life, doing what is deemed as right. The contrasts of parents tie into the hero myth by creating diversity in their stature. So you are looking at the two features. So sometimes you will know who the biological family is. Sometimes you won't. If you look at Spider-Man, he's raised by his Aunt May. Because his parents have died. We don't actually know who his parents are. So sometimes the biological parents aren't featured. I think in one of the Spider-Man movies, he's referenced to as being a great Spider-Man's dad. Peter Parker's dad is referenced to being a great scientist. So there might be hints. It may not necessarily be known. Okay. So those are the first two. Unusual birth is where you have a dynamic introduction to the story, a way that they are introduced to the readers or to the audience. You have biological family, foster family. So you have this concept of who they are as a person. The next thing that you have are abilities beyond normality. The Smallville clip that you're going to find here, Clark has saved Lex Luthor from, like his car fell into the river. If you guys want to watch this full episode, you can find it on YouTube. It's Smallville episode 1, season 1, obviously, or kind of just follow the links and you can find all of them. But he saved Lex Luthor in a car crash. He pulled him out. He saved him. And then here, Lex is thanking Clark by offering him a new car. And his dad doesn't want to accept it. And so they're in this conflict, and you'll see that you'll see two things. One, you'll see Clark stick his hand into a shredder and pull it out, and essentially nothing has happened. And that's his abilities beyond normality. Obviously, Superman is Superman, so he has a lot of abilities, but for him, he's that's being expressed here. Okay. So you can see how he is here. You'll also see components of the next transformation element, which is his isolation. So he's super fast. He's super strong. Here he's kind of invincible against machinery. So you kind of see that dynamic. Other things in the transformation, let's see, heroes. Let's go back up here. The hero figure, social interactions, they have a unique ability. So Hercules has incredible strength. Odysseus has like persistence to get home after the Trojan War. Like the Flash is super fast. Wonder Woman is one of the Amazon women who is just incredibly strong and smart. And so there's always some sort of supernatural aid, and it goes beyond normality. So even if the kid or the hero or the boy or the girl is like smart, then that's it. Like they're beyond smart for their peers, and that's what their ability is, not upon normality. One of the things I've had students do different stories for this, and I had someone work with Finding Nemo, if you remember that film, and his ability was his lucky fin. And even though it may not seem like you've got kind of a gimpy arm, like that's not, or not a gimpy arm, a gimpy fin, that's not like an ability beyond normality, but it does help them when they are trying to escape through the tank. And so it's something that no one else ever has. And that's what you've got to kind of think through. So looking here, there's beginning to be abilities beyond normality, like Green Arrow. He's just a regular human, but he's got like super archery skills. Same with Hawkeye from the Avengers. He can't run fast, he can't fly, but he has exceptional archery skills. That's beyond normality. Okay, so that would be one thing there. The next component is this isolation from society. They feel isolated. They feel out of the norm. They feel like they don't connect with anyone. Even though they may be surrounded by people, they may still feel different. Okay, Batman definitely always kind of feels like an outcast. In here, it talks about how they feel like an outcast during the transformation. Clark's isolation is derived from his secret identity. He has to keep things a secret, therefore he can't share everything, so it kind of keeps him withheld. And so that's part of the component that you will see in this clip right here. He begins to talk about to his dad, like, I can't do this. I can't play football. I can't tell people things. And so he's really, really kind of frustrated. There's another clip that you guys could find that talks about where he comes. His dad kind of begins to talk about he's from space and he's an alien and here's his spaceship. And so then he kind of begins to feel alone even more. But everyone has this opportunity to kind of feel alone at one point. So part of the isolation is that they feel separated. It may not be a physical separation, but they just feel separated in itself. Okay. Now, the last component is like a call to destiny or a call to adventure. This is where the hero begins to like take a step in fulfilling their destiny of being a hero. Okay, this is where Clark says in this last clip over here, there's this kid who's been electrified, and so he's going to hurt the bullies that hurt him in school. And Clark goes to stop him. He says, "No, you can't do this. I have a destiny. Like we're supposed to do what's right." And so every hero has that moment when Batman finally becomes Batman. When Bruce Wayne finally puts on the gear to be Batman. That's his like, okay, I'm stepping into this role. With let's see, like Iron Man, when he kind of finally accepts who he is in that destiny. If you ever watch the very first Iron Man, at the very end, he's doing that press conference and he's like, I'm Iron Man. Like that's his call to adventure, to claim it, to take responsibility, and to make sure that from this point on, he's doing what's right. So the same thing happens with Wonder Woman when she Steve Rogers, I think his name is, and he's there on the island and he talks about war, and so that's when she like turns to her mother and her aunt and all those other people and is like, I have to go. This is what I'm called to do. I'm going to go and fulfill this destiny. So she gets on the boat and she travels to London and fulfills her destiny. But the call to destiny, if you look here, is kind of a process. Sometimes we enter a story where it happens right away. Sometimes it's a long item. My daughter and son were watching Supergirl for the longest time. And even in the very first couple of episodes in season 1, Kara, who is Supergirl, is kind of figuring things out and not sure how she should use her abilities or if she should. Is she this Supergirl? Like, there's Superman over there, but I'm not. Like, she's trying to figure that all out. So sometimes the call to destiny doesn't come as quickly as we would imagine or assume. Okay. One of the things right here that's stated, Clark does kind of finally begin to, like, he sets up everything. That's not him. That's the other guy. Clark, he says, like, this is my destiny. This is what I'm supposed to do. Here it is. So there's those 5 transformation elements. And probably even with the examples that I'm giving, you have already started to think, oh, yeah, that's a story. Yes, I love The Flash, and I've seen all of those components. Some of you guys may have watched any of the Avengers movies and noticed all of those. Like, if you've noticed, like from Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a couple of them. My daughter was reading A Series of Unfortunate Events. She was reading the very first book a couple years ago when I was doing the heroes lesson. She's like, Dad, they all met, like, they're all there. And I was like, absolutely. Weird introduction to the story. Their parents' house burns down. They all have some sort of ability beyond normality. They're raised by people who are not nice to them. They feel isolated, and they have to figure out what happened and who started the fire. So, like, even in these small moments of a book, a television series, anything, these elements can be applied, and you get to that opportunity to do. So if you look over here at the classroom, here's what this is saying. This says, after reading the article, watch and take notes on the 5 transformation elements. Using a pilot episode from either Smallville, I get so excited about the hero just because this is something fun and different than just reading a book. Smallville, Supergirl, The Flash, Green Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, or any other super type drama show. You can always, if you don't have Netflix or Hulu or something like that, you can always YouTube items and kind of pull from there, just like I've done with the Smallville episodes that I showed you. If there's not, you don't have to find one exactly from this. Like, there's Gotham, which was telling the story of Batman. There's lots of television shows, movies we're going to come to later. But what I'm looking for you guys to do is kind of pull things apart and figure out what are those transformation elements. So this right here, this page of notes is what you would begin to fill out. So let's say that you sit down and you watch the very first episode of Supergirl. Okay, you find it on Netflix or YouTube or Hulu or whatever. And so you put up, Supergirl, put that right in there. And then you would describe what is her unusual birth. You can just delete these lines if you'd like. Okay. You would talk about this is her unusual introduction into the story. This is her way that she's presented to the audience. Who are her biological family, her foster family. Okay. What are her abilities beyond normality? What's the isolation that she's experienced? And then what do you believe that call to destiny is? These items right here, I would suggest anywhere from 2 to 3 strong sentences of description to identify what those are. Sure, she has strength and ability to fly and X-ray vision. Give me a sentence. Give me some notes, because this is going to everything that we do in this class builds upon each other. So we want to make sure that we are doing our job thoroughly so that we can use this for future references. Okay. So that was a lot of information. This video is getting long anyway. I love the hero's journey simply because it has so many capacities to analyze how stories are told, and you guys get to become the scholars. Okay. So once again, for this assignment, you're going to find a television show, a superhero television show. Even if it's a cartoon in some capacities, that may work as well. If you're unsure and you want to message me, hey, will this story work? Let's go for it. Okay. we're going to share your findings in class, so do make sure that you have your notes with you, because I'm going to put you in groups and you're going to have a chance to talk with each other and share, oh, hey, I watched Supergirl. This is what I found. I watched Green Arrow. This is what I found. And kind of begin to compare those heroes. All right. Message me if you have any questions or concerns. Hope you guys enjoy this. Read through the Smallville article. It's going to be beneficial for you as you watch your own show and take notes on your own show. Okay. Message me if you have any questions or concerns. Have fun.